We are living in a new world, there is no doubt about it. Our southern neighbors have imposed stiff tariffs on our goods. Economists say our economy is slowing and could dip into a recession this year. As a result, we're exploring trade opportunities with countries abroad, including those in Europe. To talk tariffs and world politics, let's bring in Michael Ramsay, an international studies professor at Algoma University. He now joins us from London, Ontario. Hi there, Michael.
Good afternoon, Tony.
Okay, what about this trade war we have with the U.S.? Any chance we could lower the temperature with the Trump administration, do you think, and get rid of the tariffs?
It depends on what Trump wants. He's very clear about what he likes. He's very unclear about what his end state is. He believes the international world is one filled with competition rather than cooperation. Having said that, he's not very clear whether by design or because he hasn't thought it all the way through, what he wants to replace it with. So the longer the tariffs go on, the more likely is he wants to restructure trade. If he thinks it's just a weapon to force other countries to bend to his will, like Canada, then there's a possibility that the tariffs will be reduced.
And this is hurting.
The forecast is unclear.
Right. This is hurting people on both sides of the border, right? You know, we're going to pay more for goods. Americans are going to pay more for goods. You know, the cost of living is going to go up in both countries. And we're starting to see protests in the United States. You know, Republicans are even being targeted because of cuts to the public sector, the changes to Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. Will there become a breaking point, do you think, that the government in the U.S. has to listen to the people and maybe, just maybe, reverse course?
We see the protesters. We don't know how many people are willing to pay the price. If you think about in our terms, in Canadian terms, how many Canadians are willing to pay a high price to fend off these moves? And so it's one thing to protest, it's another thing to see your income drop or some service being declined. And so what pollsters are desperately trying to figure out is where is the line between I'm willing to pay the price and this is going too far.
Does it strike you odd that President Trump has this friendly or cozy relationship with Russian President Vladimir Putin?
Oh, psychoanalyzing a man. Okay, best way to go through this is, I will repeat this. Trump sees the world as not of cooperation but competition. For him, if you're not following orders, you are potentially an opponent and certainly a drag on his freedom to act. He doesn't view Europe as being valuable. He is much more autarkic. He believes the United States can go it alone. And so as far as he is concerned, let the Europeans soak up Russian policies. We won't send any boys over, and we will therefore be free from all these endless wars that we've had in Iraq and Afghanistan and Vietnam and on and on and on. If you're Taiwan, this isn't very good, because the People's Republic of China has always made it clear that Taiwan is part of China and they're just tolerating its independence.
And some of us can remember the Cold War. What would former presidents, do you think, like Ronald Reagan or even George H.W. Bush, think of what's happening now between the United States and Russia?
Oh, President Reagan and President Bush would be, well, probably are rotating slowly in their graves at this. This is not at all what they had planned. For them, the principles of democratic capitalism, however flawed, are much superior to that of authoritarian minds. The flip side is if you read the Times article today, there are people who say that domestically, this is exactly what Ronald Reagan wanted. Smaller government, shrink it, take a hacksaw to it. And so it all depends on which part of the Trump menu you want to dine from.
Michael, always appreciate your time and your insights. Thanks so much.
You're welcome. Have a good day.
You too. Michael Ramsay, professor at Algoma University, was our guest. And to see more stories about the U.S.-Canada relationship, head to our website, ctvnewsnorthernontario.ca.